Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my horror movie superlative series that I collaborate with my good friend Carlin. This is a series that Carlin and I created where we go through a year full of horror movies and we pick out our horror movie superlatives, selecting a film for each one of these categories. Most amazing, best so bad it's good, most WTF, best gore, most unique, most overrated, and most underrated. The rules are we're going to use a movie once per category, and of course, we actually had to have seen the movie that we're picking. Now, we've already done this for 3 decades, the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. I'll have a card up here for you to check all those out. We do use Letterboxd to see the list of horror movies that came out each year. So, after you watch my video, and if you haven't done so already, you can go to Carlin's video. I'll have a link to his channel in the description down below. Then, if you like, you go to the community tab on his page and you can vote for who you thought had the better picks. Also, let us know what your picks are in the comments down below. We both love reading what you guys pick, what are your selections, because there's no right and wrong answers. They're all opinions, and we just love talking horror movies. So, let's get started and pick out some horror movie superlatives for the year 2001. My selection for most amazing goes to Hannibal. There was a lot of hype when this movie came out. It was a sequel to one of the greatest suspense thrillers in cinema history, The Silence of the Lambs. That movie won Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. And I doubt that will ever happen again, especially for like a horror thriller. So Hannibal did have a lot to live up to. Now, did it reach the heights of Silence of the Lambs? No. But I still believe this was an excellent movie, and it's my pick for the most amazing horror film of the year 2000. I thought Ridley Scott was great as a director. I mean, he's the man behind classics like Alien and Blade Runner. Here, I think he definitely brings his A game once again. He knows how to create tension in a way that really builds atmosphere in his films. Now, I saw this in the theater, and I remember feeling dread the entire time and unease. And, of course, I have to mention the legendary performance by Sir Anthony Hopkins returning to his iconic role. He's just mesmerizing and terrifying, just like he was in Silence. He's just so nuanced in his performance. Can't forget to mention Julianne Moore, who stepped into the shoes of Clarice. The chemistry between these two characters is slightly different from Silence. However, it's still really palpable, I believe. You can feel it. It's kind of electric when they're playing this psychological chess match between the both of them. Now, there are disturbing scenes in this movie, executed with such an artistic style that really makes this film stand out. It makes you want to look away, but at the same time, your eyes are glued to the screen. That final interaction with Clarice, Hannibal, and Paul, played by Ray Liotta, rest in peace, that was just something else. That was just legendary. It's one of those movie scenes that you're never going to forget. And you know what part I'm talking about. It's just executed so well. The whole movie is very well done. And all these reasons and more is why I picked Hannibal as my most amazing horror movie for 2001. My best so bad it's good film goes to John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. Now, I kind of feel bad putting a John Carpenter film in this category, but I think it's definitely a great fit, since this film is not loved as most of his other films. I mean, the premise of the movie sounds pretty basic. It's set on Mars in the year 2176, where a team of cops led by Natasha Hendridge as Lieutenant Ballard, they're sent to transport a dangerous prisoner played by Ice Cube. Then all hell breaks loose when they learn that the mining colony has been overrun by evil Martians. The main baddie kind of looks like a cross between looks like Marilyn Manson got the Jason X treatment. It's kind of what it looks like. Now, this film doesn't hold back on the absurdity. The characters are played serious, but I think that's what makes it kind of enjoyable because it's just so wacky. Ice Cube's forced tough guy one-liners, balanced with, Natasha Hendridge's no-nonsense cop persona, creates like a familiar buddy cop atmosphere in this film that we're used to like from the 80s and early 90s. The possessed miners look really silly and some act really over the top, and I think that adds to the cheesiness as well as the cheesy special effects. It's kind of an absurd good time. There's a charm to this film when you can laugh and have fun with it. It also has a metal soundtrack, and that's always going to be a plus. Ghost of Mars, I think, knows what it is and doesn't really try and be something else. It's campy, over-the-top performances, the wild action, and the plot are kind of why I enjoy this film for what it is. It's not a fantastic film, don't get me wrong. It's not a good movie. However, I do feel it's a great so bad it's good movie. It's one of those films you can sit down and watch, maybe a couple beers, have a little wacky tobacco, and just laugh and enjoy the campiness and insanity that you're all watching. My pick for the most WTF movie, Itchy the Killer. Whew. Man, the cinematography and visual style really add to what Takashi Miike does here. And he's known for WTF movies. That it just lets you know right there when you see who directed this movie. Itchy Killer is based on a manga by Hideo Yamamoto. So I think I pronounced that right. And it really doesn't. This movie does not hold back on the graphic violence and extreme content. Movie definitely not for the faint of heart. You got scenes of brutal torture, extreme sadomasochism, and gore that even kind of make us most seasoned horror fans go, ooh, WTF. The plot is a twisted tale of revenge and, just psychopathy. The story centers around Kakihara, who's a Yakuza enforcer. And he's searching for his missing boss. And he encounters Ichi, a psychologically disturbed assassin who cries when committing his brutal killings. The dynamic between these two is really disturbing just as much as it is compelling. With, Kakihara's masochistic tendencies, how that clashes with Ichi's kind of childlike demeanor in some scenes, with him weeping at points. A lot of the WTF in Itchy the Killer, it's his grotesque use of violence. Like I said, Takashi Miike doesn't shy away from depicting gruesome, over-the-top acts of violence. The special effects are pretty solid, making the violence kind of feel disturbingly real. I think that's where a lot of that WTF comes from, because it looks real. It doesn't look like special effects. It looks real. From the face slicing to body mutilation, it just kind of makes you cringe and ask you, like, what the F are you watching? Itchy the Killer is definitely, for me, the most WTF horror movie of 2001 because of its violence, its shocking content, and its pretty unforgettable characters. It kind of challenges your limits and leaves you questioning what you just witnessed. And that is pretty much the norm with Takashi Miike. He's known for that, and he delivers here, giving you a WTF film. My pick for best gore goes to 13 Ghosts. I do enjoy this movie. It's a remake of the original 13 Ghosts that came out in 1960. Now, that film used something called ghost vision, where the audience would hold up red or blue colored glasses, allowing them to see hidden images on the screen. So this movie doesn't really do that, but it's got some great special effects where people put on glasses to see the ghosts in this movie. Now, there's a great blend of practical with digital enhancements, but most of the effects here are practical. Each of the ghosts in the movie have a unique design, and they all have detailed backstories to go along with it. And it sets this tone really well. Because most horror films with multiple villains, they can tend to all look kind of similar, but not here. Here you got, 13 ghosts, and they all look different and terrifying in various ways. The special effects were done by K&B, who also worked on The Walking Dead and Predators. All the ghosts, I said, look great. As I mentioned, mostly practical effects with minor visual enhancements, where CGI is used to enhance stuff, and I think that was done exceptionally well. It kind of makes the gore appear more realistic. I even love the containment cubes in this movie. It's very detailed with each of the ghosts. All have different types of writing on them. It kind of reminded me of Cabin in the Woods, or I guess Cabin in the Woods maybe replicated some of this with the containment cubes. But tons of detail in this large house. Just the setting itself is just beautiful. I can't go through every single ghost here, but I'll mention some of my favorites. You got the torso. I really liked that ghost. It looked pretty damn cool. Just the way you see the torso wrapped in, plastic wrap and knowing the backstory kind of makes it unsettling. Then you got the angry princess, which is both sexy and scary, and that's a dangerous combination. My favorite kill in the movie is Ben's death, right around 35 minutes, and it looks great. The dude gets split in half vertically, and just everything, it kind of slides down. It's just kind of gross. Doesn't look like it would be done in CGI crap nowadays. But yeah, great effects in this movie. All the ghosts look great. The detail to the whole entire set is just wonderful, which is why I picked it for the best gore of 2001. My selection for most unique. Frailty. Man, I wanted to pick this movie for most amazing, and it certainly deserves to be there, but I felt I can do a better job discussing why this movie is the most unique horror film of 2001. It was directed by Bill Paxton. May he rest in peace. It stars Bill Paxton, of course, Matthew McConaughey, and Powers Booth. For similar reasons why I picked American Psycho as my most unique pick for 2000, I selected this movie. Frailty, like American Psycho, really delves deeper into the psychological horror aspect. You got themes of mental illness, fanaticism, and it kind of blurs the line between good and evil. Now, watching this film, you're trying to figure out what is real and what isn't. Again, reminded me of American Psycho. The central premise revolves around a father played by Bill Paxton who believes he has been commanded by God to kill demons disguised as humans, and he takes his two sons along on this journey. The film just makes me sad that we lost Bill Paxton in 2017, since his direction here is just outstanding. The tension he builds is just eerie. You got quiet moments that give you a sense of dread rather than explicit gore or shocking imagery. Still makes you feel unsettled. Another very unique factor of this movie is the film leaves you guessing until the very end. Some people may have picked up on a twist, but I sure as hell didn't. And I loved it when it came to fruition. I was like, oh my God, that was just so amazing. The unique horror in this film just takes you on a ride, and it doesn't really stop until its great, shocking ending. It definitely is a unique horror film. It's another one that kind of sticks with you, and you remember this film because of the ending and just because of the performances, the way the story plays out. It's an excellent horror thriller that I definitely have to recommend. No, it doesn't rely on gore and explicit violence, but it is one of the standout films for 2001, and my pick for the most unique horror film of that year. My selection for most overrated, Valentine. Crap movie, I'm sorry. So obvious to who the killer was. The cherub just kind of looked stupid as a mask. It was just dumb. This movie does follow your beat by beat, typical slasher plot threads. It's so formulaic and boring, and it really does nothing interesting at all. The kills are nothing special. All the characters are your typical tropes with no depth at all. The only character trait these people have was being pretty and rich, I guess. Everyone is shallow, so much they just don't care about anybody on the screen. Their deaths have no impact on the story, no impact on the viewer. I get they wanted to make a horror movie focused on Valentine's Day, but it was just so forced. It was just, ugh. Too many scenes with hearts and cupids and all that. It's a Valentine's Day movie. You just shoved it down our throats, and a lot of subtlety would have been a lot better. The killer's origin, typical paint-by-numbers crap that we've all seen before. I even can't tell you any of the characters' names in this film. I can't remember since they're so forgetful, because everybody's just so vapid and boring. And I guess they just wanted to copy the Scream formula that worked well in the 90s. They just kind of pasted on a holiday, but we didn't get anything close to that. We just got a box of crap instead of yummy Valentine's Day treats. And finally, my selection for most underrated, Jason X. Yeah, no, this is going to be one of my more controversial picks. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but I sure do enjoy it. When you look at all the horror franchises that went to space, Critters, Hellraiser, Leprechaun, this Friday the 13th, Jason X definitely stands out the best of that bunch. I kind of put this movie in the top half of the Friday films that I love. I enjoyed the plot. It was doing something a little bit different with the franchise while still keeping the basic core concept of Jason going out to kill people. He's captured and they want to use him for science since he can't die. Of course, he breaks loose and a bunch of stuff happens and he's taken up into space into the future. He's destroyed and he gets an upgrade. It's kind of fun. I like the way Uber Jason looks. One thing I like about this movie, I like when the nanobots are reforming him. You see in the computer screen, it says like insufficient tissue to, fix him. So it starts using metal from all the machines around him, hence Jason getting an upgrade. And I really like that subtle touch. You get a great kills in this movie. Solid kills. One of the greatest from the franchise. The liquid nitrogen kill is pretty awesome. Then you could get dumbass teacher that thinks, oh, Jason's going to stop now. He just wanted his machete. Haha. And he got killed. Too bad it was off screen. But I have to see how I rank that kill on my Nails in a Coffin series. I'll put a card up here for that video. But I hope I gave him 0 nails. I have to go back and check. It's a fun movie, even with all the silliness in it. That's why I think it's just underrated. It's not a bad Friday the 13th movie in the top half. The character names are kind of ridiculous. And I think that gives the film a lot of charm. It's got a great ending with Sergeant Brodsky kind of riding Jason down back at it in the Earth's atmosphere as they're lighting up on fire. And of course, you get the last shot is kind of cool with Jason's mask landing in a lake by some more teens. Not a bad movie, gets a lot of undeserved hate, and my pick for the most underrated horror film of 2001. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my horror movie superlatives for 2001. Here's a quick recap of my picks. Don't forget to let Carl and I know what your picks are in the comments down below. Of course, if you haven't done so already, please go to Carl's channel, link in the description down below. Watch his video with the same name. And of course, if you'd like, you can go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better picks. So, we'll see you here in 2 weeks for some more horror movie superlatives, wherein Carl and I tackle all the horror movies of 2002. Thanks everybody. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. All that fun stuff really help us out. Just takes a second. We both really appreciate it. Till next time, I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.